Welcome back. Well, we have Congresswoman Young Kim here, who is our representative for the 40th District. Well, welcome. Nice to see you again.
Good to see you again.
Wow, and you're still smiling, so that's a good thing, right? At least you're getting things done, you're making things happen. So before we get into some of the subjects, tell me what you think. I mean, how is it up there?
Well, it's very, it's rewarding. As I said, for someone like me as an immigrant from South Korea, living the American dream and making sure that same American dream is available for all generations, but especially those who are coming after me, to see that someone like me can have a voice, have a seat at the table, and help change the policy that will make sure that our future generations will still be able to have that opportunity. I always say my party is the Grand Opportunity Party.
The Grand Opportunity Party. Wow, that's that is a lofty name, but you know what? If you stick to it, then more power to you and to the rest of us too, right? Because obviously you were elected to be the voice of the 40th District. So in saying that, what are some of the things that you are currently working on?
So first of all, I want to say that my first priority that I'm working on is to ensure that our constituents and their needs are met. Constituent services is #1 top priority of mine, which is why in my first term in the 117th Congress, we focused on helping our constituents with their casework and navigate through the federal agencies and the problems that they had. We helped over 3,500 constituent casework and returned more than $17 million back into our taxpayers and constituents' pockets from the monies that they didn't owe at IRS, VA, Social Security, and so forth. And just in less than 2 months period in the new Congress, 118th Congress, which we're in right now, we returned more than $2 million. So far, we're reaching close to $20 million in my short term in Congress, giving money back to our constituents. And that is going to be continuing our priority for us. And then, of course, I'm serving on 2 different committees that I'm really excited about. I can talk about that soon.
Right, and we will. So give me an example of what a caseload is. Like, give me an example.
Sure. First of all, if a senior citizen is expecting senior citizens live on fixed income. And sometimes Social Security check is the only one that they rely on. If the check doesn't come on the first of each month, they can't pay their rent or their mortgages. And so they contact our office. We'll immediately get on phone and then find out what the delay is. Sometimes they are shocked to find out there is a back pay for money that they don't owe. So my office will get on and then try to get resolve the situation. 1, get their check deposited into their bank, and 2, if they don't owe any money and they're required to pay back, then we'll fight to get them back. I mean, so that we will take care of it. That's one. Another casework will be, we have a lot of families overseas who they want to bring back for, let's say, attending some special events, weddings, or very memorable milestone events, and also people die and you want their family members to be there at their funeral. They are having a hard time getting visas. We can help. And if you need to travel overseas and get your passport renewed, we can help you. Those are just some of the things that we can help you with.
Okay, all right, good to know, because I wasn't really sure what kind of casework it is, and of course with a Social Security check, most seniors go, well, it's automatic, right? It's automatically going to be there. Why would it not be there, right? So good thing we have you doing that. All right, excellent. So talk about some of the other things. Of course, the we were looking at inflation. We have a very high deficit, and we certainly are looking for a balanced budget. So what are some things that you're contributing to that?
So I'm glad to have a voice, and there is several caucuses that I serve on, which is the Republican Main Street Partnership Caucus, and then I am also a vice chair on the RG2 called the Republican Governance Group, and I'm also a member of the Problem Solvers Caucus. These are the venue where I get to serve on working groups, especially on debt limit,
Yeah.
That's one coming out. We're going to be dealing with that.
Right.
That's where we come together, talk about legislative priorities and issues. How are we going to come together and find a common ground to get results and get priorities and legislatively done? And so debt limit is one we're dealing with. You mentioned eventually we need to get to balanced budget, but we can't do this overnight when our country has been utilizing debt limit, increasing the debt limit ceiling all the time. But let me tell you something. Our nation's debt is like using a credit card. We already are getting to the highest ceiling limit. So we're going to be, continuing to talk about, are we going to increase the debt limit? Are we going to spend more than what we can afford? So this is where we have to put foot down, dip, and say enough is enough.
Right.
If we're going to increase that limit, it has to come with reasonable, balanced ways to cut spending somewhere. But it cannot be in one category. It has to be across the board. So this is a time where we're having a serious conversation. I'm glad that I'm having a voice on it. But whatever we do, we're not going to default on our the obligation. And I'm hoping that our Speaker Kevin McCarthy and President Biden, they already started the conversation to have a negotiation where we can get to the level we can pass the balanced budget eventually, but make sure that we don't fault and affect our credit in the standing in the world.
And I do think that some people are very concerned about Social Security and Medicare or Medicaid because there have been so many discussions on our local news, national news. Oh, we're going to cut that. Well, we're probably not going to cut it, but there may have to be some changes going forward. But to ease those folks who are receiving Social Security or those who might be retiring soon, what do you say to them?
One thing for sure, Republicans and or Democrats, there is no way we're going to touch Social Security and Medicare, contrary to what you see, what you read in the news. So I'm here to tell you, don't believe anything that you see in the news, okay?
Well, that's hard to do because we turn it on all the time.
But we're not going to touch that. What we're going to do is make sure that we strengthen the program that we have and protect Social Security and Medicare. These are the funds that people worked into and paid into, and they expect that to be there when they retire. So we're going to do everything we can to not touch it, but again, coming to some level of reasonable negotiation so that we can keep it solvent, because it's coming to an end at some point.
Yes, gotcha. All right, very good. Now, you were recently became the chair of the Indo-Pacific Subcommittee. What is that?
So it is a subcommittee within the House Foreign Affairs Committee. It's a committee I'm going to continue to serve on from the last Congress. Our foreign policy decisions that we make right now, especially as we see the growing influence of CCP, Chinese Communist Party, trying to be the dominant economic superpower, dominant military superpower, we need to make sure that we have a policy that we will show and project strength of the United States and the world. So our work in the Indo-Pacific Subcommittee, which I am now serving as a chairman, will have a great impact going forward. So as an immigrant from South Korea, who came here to live that American dream, to be able to work on policies that will affect the Indo-Pacific countries in that region, including South Korea, my homeland, including Taiwan, Japan, Vietnam, all countries in that region, we will be able to have a voice and work on policies, and it's going to have a long-lasting impact. So at this time, to be able to chair that subcommittee and be a part of the decision-making in the foreign policy arena, I'm very, very excited and privileged and honored to do so.
That's great. Now, you have Laguna Woods office hours here. I don't know how you have the time. But let's take a look here. It's the third Thursday of every month, and it's 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., and you are at City Hall. So do you have an office there?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's going to be a mobile office.
Oh, gotcha.
And my staff, and when I'm here, of course, we will be here on third Thursday of every month.
Okay.
But in addition to that, we have 2 regular offices, one in Anaheim Hills and one in Mission Vale. Mission Vale one is at the City Hall.
Oh, okay.
And so our presence in South Orange County in the new 40th District, we are down here to be closer to constituents. Good. You should feel comfortable coming to our offices on a daily basis. Our staff, again, are ready to serve with all the casework related, answer any questions. If you have some ideas about legislation, contact our office.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for coming in. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Keep up the good work.
Yes.
Thank you. If you want more information about Young Kim's endeavors and what's going on in Congress, or if you have a concern of your own, please get in touch with her and her staff at youngkim.house.gov, or you can call them at 714-984-2440. We'll be right back.